getting great. Why, Mr. Andrew?
I'm going fall out. That's not the uniform. Well, you're in uniform this morning.
Somewhere else. Yes, oh yeah, Robert.
I like to regalia, Mercer.
This is the new regalia. Hey, there, what are you at, buddy?
Don't fall out, boys, for the love of God.
Don't worry, my son, we're good for it.
Down
Quieter, please. Quieter, please.
He takes up 3 spots. Right on the corner, huh?
Just get some pictures before he actually cuts it back.
All right.
You okay there?
Yeah, where'd you want me to be? They're going to be facing in? I'll go up on top.
Right. So either side is rail, on the other side.
Well done. There you go. All right. Who's in charge of saying that?
Count to 3, somebody.
Whoever's saying cut.
I'll give the word.
All
Are you
right.
ready? 3, 2, 1, go.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Good.
I will now call upon the Worshipful Master of Avalon Lodge number 2, the Worshipful Master of St. John's Lodge, and the Right Worshipful Master of Lodge Tasker to enter. And present the items of consecration. On the altar. I would now ask that all rise to receive Brother Sir Archibald D. Orr Ewing, the Grand Master of the Grand Lodge of Scotland, Most Worshipful Brother Maxwell J. Squires, Grand Master of the Grand Lodge of Newfoundland and Labrador, and Brother Lester W. Bowring, District Grand Master of the Grand Lodge of Scotland in Newfoundland and Labrador. Okay, in that case, could you all please be seated again? And you will accept my apologies for the first time today. I would now ask that all remain upstanding and please join in the singing of the first and last verse of the Ode to Newfoundland. Please be seated. Most Worshipful Brother Maxwell J. Squires, Grand Master of the Grand Lodge of Newfoundland and Labrador. Most Worshipful Grand Master Mason, Brother Sir Archibald D. Orr Ewing. Brother Bowring, District Grand Master, distinguished guests, and brethren all. Welcome to the Cornerstone laying and dedication ceremonies of this Freemasons Hall. My name is Brother Scott Bartlett, Substitute District Grand Master of the Grand Lodge of Scotland and the Vice Chair of Masonic Park. And today I am the appointed MC for this occasion, and it is with great pleasure that the Grand Lodge of Newfoundland and Labrador and the Grand Lodge of Scotland and Newfoundland, along with the Grand Chapter of Royal Archmasons, proudly conduct this ancient ceremony. You will note that there lies on our Masonic altar an open Bible, and while our ceremony has religious overtones, it is non-denominational. It implores the divine blessing of God to protect the workman from accident, to bless those who conceive the erection of this edifice and its purposes, and all those who enter through its doors. You will observe that there are 3 receptacles. These receptacles contain corn, to nourish and sustain us and all who enter here. Wine, to symbolize the need to refresh our bodies and our spirits. And oil, to soothe our wounds and afflictions, and further the spirit of brotherly love and harmonious relationships. As a final word of explanation, the language of Masonic ceremonies have come down to us from centuries past. Hence, some of the usages employed here may seem strange to you. For instance, the word worshipful simply means honored or esteemed, as the word has been used some 300 years ago. I would also like to point out that the chair in the eastern part of the building in the center is unoccupied and is usually occupied by the master of the lodge. However, in recognition of those absent friends who could not be with us today and those who are no longer with us, we have decided that it would be left vacant. I now invite you to join with the Masonic brethren present, both here and in other rooms in the building, in the spirit of the occasion as we perform this symbolic and significant ceremony.
Silence. Silence. Silence.
I am now pleased to call upon Brother Sir Archibald D. Orr Ewing, Grand Master of the Grand Lodge of Scotland, to deliver an address entitled The Nature and Objects of Freemasonry.
Honored and distinguished visitors, gentlemen and brethren, I'm occasionally asked, what is Freemasonry and what does it stand for or represent? These are not easy questions to answer, as there are many aspects of Freemasonry which have a different appeal to different men, be it the historian who researches into the origins of the organization, the anthropologist who is curious as to the development of our society, the philanthropist who is attracted by the wide-ranging charitable works, the ritualist who is fascinated by the ceremonial, or the man who simply seeks fellowship and companionship. All these aspects and more are to be found within the craft. Freemasonry is not a religion. There are no dogmas, no Masonic gods, no theology, although there is a strong spiritual element to be found in many of our ceremonies. A requirement of membership is a belief in a supreme being. However, it is of no concern to us what a man's religion is, as we will welcome good men of all religions. In a recent communication from our Scottish Grand Superintendent in Malawi, the multicultural nature of Freemasonry was demonstrated when he informed me that at a recent initiation, the candidate was a Malawian Muslim, the master was a Sri Lankan Roman Catholic, various lectures were given by a Greek Orthodox farmer, a Malawian Presbyterian, a Sri Lankan Buddhist, and the organist was an Anglican. Freemasons are renowned for their charitable works, from the work of the Shriners in North America to Grand Lodges and individual lodges, helping distressed and unfortunate people throughout the world. The Grand Lodge of Scotland has directly assisted in rebuilding fishermen's houses in Sri Lanka that were destroyed in the 2005 tsunami. And brethren from one of our provinces in Scotland have recently returned from Malawi, where they were assisting a school for deaf children in that country. And the same province, without any financial assistance from Grand Lodge, has hosted annual visits and holidays for the children of Chernobyl in Russia. Many such examples can be found all over the world of Masons of every nationality and constitution, giving freely of their time and resources. Masons should be justly proud of their charitable works and should not be reluctant to publicize these deeds. However, Freemasonry is not in itself a charity, nor does it have charity as its main rationale. The charitable endeavor of Masons is but one example of the logical manifestation of the ethos of Freemasonry, that of brotherly love, relief, and truth. Brotherly love is the concern which each Freemason has for his brother, which is readily shown by tolerance and respect for the beliefs, opinions, and practices of his fellows, and his willingness to care for his brother and that brother's dependents. Relief is the care a Freemason will show to all men, and that he will kindly assist and support his local, national, and international community. A Freemason believes in truth in all things, in honesty and integrity, in his personal, business, and public life, in fair dealings, and in firm standards of decency and morality. Freemasons are specifically prohibited from discussing topics of a religious or political nature in their lodges. However well-intentioned, however apparently noble the issue, Freemasonry as a body cannot be drawn into giving a Masonic view. This does not mean that we as individuals will turn a blind eye to social injustice, or not attempt to alleviate the sufferings of the weak, or fight against intolerance so prevalent in the world today. However, we must do so as individuals, not under the banner of Freemasonry. Freemasonry must not be seen as a pressure group. We do not seek to change or even influence society at large, but we do seek to influence individual men and Masons. The Right Honourable Lord Farnham, a past Programme Master of England, summarised the philosophy when he said, "Freemasonry aims to develop the individual as a good citizen and as a man with a good moral foundation. Other benefits to society may follow, but they come from individuals acting in their personal capacities and not as Freemasons." Freemasonry seeks to educate a man, not only in practical skills such as public speaking, interpretation of the written and spoken word, organising meetings, interpersonal skills and confidence building, but also in developing philosophical, intellectual and moral attributes. The objective is to make a good man better and to better equip him to be a valuable asset to society. The origins of Freemasonry have been a subject of debate for centuries, and a few of the somewhat imaginative early writers on the subject have attempted to trace the first Freemason back to Adam. This is not really helpful, as stonemasons have existed for thousands of years, and throughout history there have been many societies and fellowships which have sought to educate their members by allegory and legends. Modern speculative Freemasonry, however, can trace its origins directly to the British, in particular Scottish craft masons, over 500 years ago. I shall not dwell on historical arguments or the competing claims of greater antiquity so beloved by Masonic historians, but rather the question, is Freemasonry still valid in the 21st century? And I sincerely believe that it is. In the increasingly materialistic and high-speed society of today, where the traditional workplace is being replaced by the computer screen, and where there's a decrease in support of established institutions, there's a need for the fellowship and support afforded by the lodge, and a realization dawning that there is a spiritual vacuum in today's society. Finally, with regard to secrecy, we of course are not a secret society, as it is a strange secret society that publishes the names and addresses of our lodge rooms and principal office bearers. I also tend to dislike the fashionable cliche, we're not a secret society, but a society with secrets, which is glib and merely emphasizes the secrecy aspect. I would like to quote a past provincial Grand Master of the province of Newfoundland, Brother Alexander M. Mackay, who at the foundation stone laying ceremony of the British and Masonic Hall, Harbour Grace, on the 21st of October 1867, is reported in the records of Grand Lodge as having said the following: "I'm aware that a prejudice exists to some extent against us by the outside world, but this is only a fallacy of the past, which a more intimate knowledge of ourselves and our objects would speedily dissipate. We're accused of being a secret society, but the true secret of Masonry consists only in the practice of every social and moral virtue."
Thank you. I will now ask that everyone would rise and join in singing the Old 100th.
Earthquake
Thank you. Please be seated. I now call upon the three leaders of the craft participating in the ceremony of Cornerstone laying. Will they please take their places behind the altar? Most Worshipful Brother Maxwell J. Squires, Grand Master of the Grand Lodge of Newfoundland and Labrador. Brother Lester W. Bowring, Right Worshipful District Grand Master of the Grand Lodge of Scotland in Newfoundland. And Most Excellent Companion, Lawrence Moss, Grand High Priest of the Grand Chapter, Royal Archmasons of Newfoundland and Labrador. I now call upon Mr. Beaton Shepherd, architect of the firm Shepherd Case and architects of this building, to come forward.
All arrangements are completed for the laying of the stone.
I now call upon Brother William Scott, Grand Chaplain of the Grand Lodge of Newfoundland and Labrador, to offer a prayer.
Please rise. Let us pray. Almighty Father, Supreme Ruler of the universe, bless us in all the purposes of this assembly. We humbly ask Thee to give us wisdom in all our doings, strength of mind under all our difficulties, and the beauty of love and harmony in all our communications. Guide us in the consecration of this building and solemnly dedicate it to the honor and glory of your most holy name. Amen. Please be seated.
The Grand Master of the Grand Lodge of Newfoundland and Labrador and the District Grand Master of the Grand Lodge of Scotland have requested that the Grand Secretary, Right Worshipful Brother Larry Grandy, and the District Grand Secretary, Brother George S. Moore, now read the list of items to be deposited in the time capsule.
Currency of the day.
Newspapers of the day.
Various pictures as follows. Grand Master, Grand Lodge of Newfoundland and Labrador. District Grand Master, Grand Lodge of Scotland. Officers of Grand Lodge of Newfoundland and Labrador. Office bearers of District Grand Lodge of Scotland.
List of current Board of Directors of the Masonic Path.
2 copies of the Cornerstone laying and consecration ceremony, 1 with autographs.
Copy of the official program.
A square, a level, and a plumb roof.
The Grand Master of the Grand Lodge of Newfoundland and Labrador, the District Grand Master of the Grand Lodge of Scotland, and the Grand High Priest of Grand Chapter have now taken their places around the cornerstone, 1 to the east, 1 to the west, and 1 to the south.
I find this stone square. Craftsmen have done their work true and done their work well.
I find this stone level and the craftsmen have prepared it true and trusty.
I find this stone to be plumb and the craftsmen have done their work true and trusty.
We are satisfied that the craftsmen have truly prepared the stone for the cornerstone true and trusty.
I now call upon Worshipful Brother David Jones, the Chairman of Masonic Park Board of Directors, to present a ceremonial trowel to the Most Worshipful Grand Master of the Grand Lodge of Newfoundland and Labrador. This trowel was used in the cornerstone laying ceremony of the building on Cathedral Street in 1894 by Sir William Vance Whiteaway.
well made, well proved, truly laid, true and trusty. May this undertaking be conducted and completed by the craftsmen according to the grand plan in peace, harmony, and brotherly love.
This cornerstone is well and properly prepared to be laid, plumb, level, and square.
I now call upon the Worshipful Master of St. John's Lodge to come forward and present the cornucopia containing corn to the District Grand Master.
May the health of the workmen employed in this undertaking be preserved to them, and may the Supreme Architect bless and prosper their labor.
I now call upon the Right Worshipful Master of Lodge Tasker to present the vessel of wine to Most Worshipful Brother Squires.
May plenty be showered down upon all the people of the earth, and may the blessings of the bounteous giver of all things attend their philanthropic undertakings.
And I now call upon the Worshipful Master of Avalon Lodge to present the vessel of oil to the Grand High Priest.
May the supreme ruler of the world preserve all people in peace and vouchsafe to them the enjoyment of every blessing.
May corn, wine, and oil, and all the necessities of life abound among men throughout the world. And may the blessing of the Supreme Architect be upon this undertaking a memorial statue to Master Masons past, present, and future, here erected, dedicated, and to be preserved to the latest posterity.
The stone has been truly laid, true and trusty. The stone has been truly laid, true and trusty. The stone has been truly laid, true and trusty.
This now concludes the ceremony of the Cornerstone laying. I would ask the brethren to return to their seats. Please rise and join in singing the royal anthem.
Queen.
Thank you. Please be seated. As this is a very special day for us, there will actually be two ceremonies. The first one was the Cornerstone laying ceremony, which you just observed. And we will now begin a ceremony of dedicating and consecrating the building. And it will now begin. I now call upon Brother Max Squires.
As Masons are taught in all of our work, before engaging in any great undertaking, first to invoke the blessing of God. I therefore request silence and due attention, and call upon you to unite with the Grand Chaplain in an address to the throne of Christ.
Please be upstanding.
Our Heavenly Father, supreme architect of the universe, we ask your blessing upon us this day, and pray that your divine wisdom will be ever present to guide us in all our thoughts, words, and actions. Amen.
Amen. Please be seated. I now call upon Brother Lester Brown.
Brother Director of Ceremonies, you will present the elements of consecration, the corn of nourishment to me, the wine of refreshment to the most worshipful Grand Master, and the oil of joy to the Grand High Priest. And we will proceed with ceremonies of consecration. This corn I distribute as a symbol of goodness and plenty. May the blessing of the bounteous heaven be showered upon us and upon all patriot and benevolent undertakings, and inspire the hearts of people with virtue, wisdom, gratitude. Amen.
This wine I pour as a symbol of joy and gladness. May the great ruler of the universe bless and prosper our national, provincial, and city governments, and preserve our nation. May Freemasonry be a bond of friendship and brotherly love, and that shall endure through all time. Amen. Amen.
This oil I pour as a symbol of peace. May its blessings abide with us continually. And may the Grand Master of heaven and earth shelter and protect the widow and orphan, shield and defend them from all trials and vicissitudes, and bestow his mercy upon the bereaved and affliction, and the sorrowing, that they may know sorrow and trouble no more. Amen.
I now call upon Brother Reverend Gerald Taylor, District Grand Chaplain, to come forward.
May the bounteous Author of nature bless the inhabitants of this place with all abundance of the necessities, conveniences, and comforts of life. Long preserve the structure from decay, and grant to us all a portion of corn of nourishment, the wine of refreshment, and the oil of joy.
I now call upon Brother William Scott, Grand Chaplain of the Grand Lodge of Newfoundland and Labrador.
Great architect of the universe, maker and ruler of all worlds, we ask thy blessing upon us in all our purposes of our present assembly. We humbly invoke thee to give us at this time wisdom in all our understandings, strength of mind in all our difficulties, and the beauty of harmony in all our communications.
So may it be. It is my pleasure to announce that the leaders of Freemasonry in this province, having now presided over the foregoing ceremony, will now bring the proceedings to a close. Brother Lester Bauer.
Thank you, Brother Bartlett. On behalf of the Grand Lodge of Scotland in the province of Newfoundland and Labrador, I would like to extend my heartiest felt thanks and congratulations Sorry, I've got ahead of myself. It is my honor to declare this building, Freemasons Hall, in the city of Mount Pearl, province of Newfoundland and Labrador, open.
And I now call upon Most Worshipful Brother, Maxwell J. Squires, Grand Master of the Grand Lodge of Newfoundland and Labrador.
It is now my honor and pleasure to declare that this building, Freemasons Hall, in the city of Mount Pearl, province of Newfoundland and Labrador, is duly consecrated and dedicated to all purposes of Freemasonry.
And it is now at the conclusion of this ceremony to announce that we have today a number of invited and distinguished guests with us at this time. And I would like to recognize them. Representing the Government of Newfoundland and Labrador, the Honorable Dave Denine, Minister of Municipal Affairs. Steve Kent, MHA from Mount Pearl North. His Honor Randy Sims, representing the Mayor of Mount Pearl. Randy, in your remarks, you can crucify me. I apologize. That's what happens when someone else writes your notes. And representing the city of St. John's, Art Potister, Councillor Art Potister. From other fraternal organizations and within the city, John Badcock, Knights of Columbus in Mount Pearl, Keith McDonald, Grand Knight, Knights of Columbus St. John's. Lauren Warren, representing Mazzal Shrine. And have I missed anyone? Matthew Todd, Ancient Accepted Scottish Rite. As the Master of Ceremonies, it's now my pleasure to call upon Dave Denine, the Minister of Municipal Affairs, to come forward and bring greetings from the government of the province.
Tall. Thank you very much, District Grandmaster, Grandmasters, other dignitaries of Freemasons, ladies and gentlemen. It's indeed an honor to be here today for the consecration of this building. It's the start of a new era in the city of Mount Pearl. You moved from the city of St. John's into here, and I thought that was a wise choice. Very seriously, too. But on behalf of government of Newfoundland and Labrador, I want to congratulate each and every one of you for putting up this fine facility in Mount Pearl. It's a dedication to your commitment to your communities and to yourselves and to your brothers. It's a commitment to you that you give to all the communities in which you serve, to all the good works that you've done over the past number of years. You just have to walk out here and look across the street there and see Masonic Park, which is in itself a cornerstone for Mount Pearl. And you are to be congratulated for that. It's probably one of the finest facilities in Newfoundland and Labrador. So on behalf of government, I want to congratulate all those people who made this facility possible, and I wish you all the best in your new facility. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Minister Denine. I was remiss, I would be remiss if I did not make a mistake, so I'm admitting another one, and that is we have two more distinguished guests, which I omitted, and that wasn't my intent to do so. I would like to recognize Craig Power, President of the Royal Canadian Legion, Branch 56, St. John's, and Greg Greening, President of the Royal Canadian Legion, Branch 1, St. John's. I now call upon MHA Steve Kent to bring greetings, the member for the District of Mount Pearl North.
Thank you, Scott. Grandmasters, Masons, special guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is indeed a great honor to be part of this very special day in our community. Prior to today, though, for a long time, Freemasonry has had a very prominent presence in our community. Masonic Park, as the Minister alluded to, is an excellent example of that and has always been a very important and significant part of our community. As well, when I look around outside today, when I look around this room, I see many prominent citizens in our community who've contributed a great deal to the quality of life in Mount Pearl. So I think there's no better a place for the new Freemasons Hall than right here in Masonic Park, right here in Mount Pearl, and of course in the District of Mount Pearl North, which I'm now proud to represent in the House of Assembly. So I'm very pleased to bring greetings on behalf of the constituents I represent, my colleagues in the House of Assembly, and I'm very pleased to offer my congratulations to all of you today. This has been a long time coming. As a former mayor of the community, I had an opportunity to learn more about Freemasonry and also to do what I could to encourage and support the development of this project. So it's great to see it come to fruition. I know many people in the room and many people not in the room today have worked quite hard to make this project a reality, and you are all to be commended. It is indeed a special day for our community, and I'm truly honored, as I said, to be able to celebrate with you. Congratulations for who you are, for what you do, for the difference you make in the lives of others, and for the difference you make in our communities. I truly thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you, Stephen. Stephen and I have spent many hours working over things about Masonic Park and the city of Mount Pearl and something called a comprehensive development area in which this building resides. And without his help, I can assure you that we and the other councillors in Mount Pearl, this building would have not have happened. I now call upon His Worship Randy Sims, Mayor of the City of Mount Pearl.
God, he really is tall. I could, as you say, crucify you now, I suppose, and lambaste you for that, Scott, but I won't. This is a very auspicious occasion, Grand Masters, brethren and brothers of the Masonic Order. First of all, let me say personally how thankful I am to have been given the opportunity to come and witness this ceremony myself today. It has always been a source of some mystery to a lot of people in the community, what the Masons are all about, what the Masons do. And it was spoken of earlier this afternoon. So it's interesting and informative, and I found it fascinating, the ceremony, the process, and all of the symbolism that surrounded this consecration of this building today. Now, it's maybe because I'm one of those people, I love history. And so the history of an order that goes back as far as this one is something that I personally would find fascinating. There is a thing about ceremony as well that lends structure to society. And so the ceremonies and the mysteries that surround Masonry and all of the activities associated with it is something that I personally find really intriguing. And my own curiosity, of course, always has led me to try and find out some things, and I've found some things out today about Masonry. I want to, on behalf of the citizens of this small city, because it really is, in Canadian terms, a small city. We are about 27,000 strong. We are like Canada with the United States. We live next door to a gigantic elephant. Let me say to Councillor Podester, however, representing that elephant here today, we really appreciate that they always sleep on one side and never turn over. I've come to discover that having this building come to Mount Pearl to be built here on this site is even more special than I thought at the time the original planning was put in place. Because that comprehensive development scheme, which in all honesty former Mayor Steve Kent led the charge on, made this possible sooner rather than later. A lot of things got done behind the scenes, but most of us on council, we merely raised our hands. We didn't realize how much work from the mayor's office went into this kind of activity. Dave Denine before him as well championed the vision and the dream of this place being here. I, as the new mayor, I get to drive by here pretty well every day, and I saw this being built every day. And I realize now for the first time what a symbol it represents. And it's an important one because I do believe that Masons promote the kind of values and promote the kind of community standards and promote this kind of citizenship that the folks in Mount Pearl are most proud of personally. You know, I've always said that there is no greater community spirit anywhere in this country than you will find here in Mount Pearl. And I've challenged colleagues on other municipalities and other councils on that very measure. Mount Pearl's volunteerism, Mount Pearl's community pride, the spirit that exists here. I want to tell you that you're going to find that this is a wonderful home for the Provincial Lodge for Masons in Newfoundland and Labrador. So on behalf of the 26,000 to 27,000 of us who call this home, welcome to Mount Pearl. May this facility be a beacon of standards and values and all of those important lessons that we teach our children so that our society continues to grow and to prosper in the future. May that continue as well for Masons and Masonry. And once again, on behalf of our colleagues and our council, we love seeing this building on this hill. Welcome to Mount Pearl. We're proud to say you're part of our hometown.
Thank you, Your Worship. From now on, I'll choose my words carefully and slowly. I would like to point out that this building, although located in Mount Pearl, will service every Mason on the Northeast Avalon. It will be a gathering center, and it is the administrative and headquarters of both jurisdictions of Freemasonry in this province. And there's been a great deal of support right across the province for this building. I now call upon the only elected official in the room that hasn't been or will be a mayor of Mount Pearl, I assume. And that is Councillor Arthur Potter.
Thank you, Scott. You're fairly tall here. District Grand Master, Grand Lodge of Scotland, Grand Master, Grand Lodge of Newfoundland and Labrador, Freemasons, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of Acting Mayor Shani Duff, Council of Citizens of St. John's, and of course we have our new Mayor-elect Dennis O'Keefe, it's a pleasure to be here today to represent the city and partake with you in the laying of your cornerstone and the opening of your new building. I attended a luncheon yesterday at City Hall. We had a lunch for our new mayor and deputy mayor and Ward 4 councillor, and I was sitting next to Bob Bishop, and I was telling him I was coming here today, and I said, I need some speaking notes. He said, you need to speak to Carol Keeping. Carol works with the Department of Finance in the City of St. John's, and I called him, and we had chat for about 5 or 10 minutes, and he was very kind enough to deliver 3 brochures to me yesterday afternoon, which I thank you for, Carol, and I did read them this morning, and I got quite a history lesson about the history of the Freemasons, the Masonic Lodge. And I've been in Northwest Rotary Club for 20 years, and the principles of the Masonic Lodge are quite similar with Rotary. Service above self and things such of that nature. But seeing that Paul Harris only founded Rotary in 1904, and this organization has been around for hundreds and hundreds of years, I sort of came to the conclusion that Paul Harris I got the idea of Rotary from the Masonic Lodge. That's just a little thing on my part. I want to certainly congratulate you on and thank you for the numerous works of charity that you do. I see my good friend here, Lauren Warren. Lauren is with the Shriners, and I do know that in order to be a Shriner, you have to be a Freemason, and I'm aware of the charitable works of the Scottish Rite. And we certainly want to thank you and congratulate you for all the works of charity that you do. I want to thank Randy Sims, of course, for letting him be here in the city of Mount Pearl. And I will never be mayor of Mount Pearl, but I did live in Mount Pearl for 5 years, from 82 to 87. But I got the good sense to move back to the east end of St. John's. And although I will yield one thing to Mount Pearl, the weather is a lot better. Craig Power and myself attended a function last night down aboard HMC of St. John's at Pier 17, and they had to rent some portable heaters. I think it's about 2 degrees, so we're here in the sun capital of the Northeast Avalon, Mount Pearl today, where it's 20 degrees. So I thank you for the weather, Randy. And of course, you get to own the building, but seeing that the population of St. John's is about 100,000 people and Mount Pearl is 26, 27, I'm going to go out on a stretch here and figure that about 75% of the Masons live in St. John's. So you may have the building, but we've got the bodies, right? And the last thing I want to congratulate you on is your singing. I got to say, I've never heard such powerful voices. It reminds me of when I was a boy. We used to go to a lot of church functions and so on. You hear these choirs, and I was saying to Randy, boy, these guys sure can sing. I tell you, they really belt it out. Again, thank you for the invitation to be here. It's an honor to be here. And again, congratulations on the opening of your new building.
Thank you, Councillor Potter. David Jones, the chair of the board of Masonic Park, is the next speaker, so I won't raise the mic very high, since. Anyway, Brother Jones and I have worked together as the chair and vice chair of Masonic Park for the last 6 years, and I must say that he has paid me the greatest of compliments, and I return them to him. We have spent much time, either on the phone or in person, working on this facility, and it's my great pleasure to have him come forward and address you.
Brother Bartlett won't raise the mic very high, but he always raises the bar very high in my estimation. Most worshipful Grand Master, Grand Master Mason, Right Worshipful District Grand Master, Most Excellent High Priest, Mr. Minister, Mr. Mayor, distinguished guests, brethren, and friends all. On behalf of the Board of Directors of Masonic Park and its residents, I bring you greetings and welcome you to this new Freemasons Hall. 2,000 years ago, the proudest boast in the free world was Civis Romanus Sum, I am a Roman citizen. Here today, I believe it is, I am a Mason. A little over 25 years ago, the concept of Masonic Park began as a dream in the minds of a group of community-minded Freemasons. Working together, they made that dream a reality. Through the efforts of Freemasons and their supporters, they carved this park out of that which was once a wilderness. They established a new, secure, gated community with 220 apartment units and a 40-bed nursing home associated with it, which is now the home to over 400 residents of all religious denominations and persuasions. They created a place that we have always regarded in this province as the crown jewel of Freemasonry. It was always their dream and our dream that this park would one day house a new Freemasons Hall. 5 years ago, the time was right, and a new board of directors of Masonic Park, which I, with my colleague Brother Scott Bartlett, had the honor to lead, was tasked to make it so. Over the ensuing years, we began planning and consultations on what this new Freemasons Hall would be and where it would be located in this park. We wanted it to be a stately and accessible edifice that would be the new home of Freemasonry in this province, where Masonic bodies and lodges would meet, and where the Grand Lodge of Newfoundland and Labrador and the Grand Lodge of Scotland, District Grand Lodge of Newfoundland and Labrador, would have their offices. But we also wanted it to be something more. We wanted it to be an integral part of Masonic Park and of the surrounding community. A meeting place where residents of the park and the surrounding community would come to relax, to exercise their minds and their bodies, to reflect upon and to enjoy life to the fullest. A place where social gatherings of meaning to those participating in such events could come. An alternate emergency center available to the city of Mount Pearl and the surrounding area should the need ever arise. A building that would easily be recognizable in this community. And so, we designed this facility in mind, with meeting rooms to serve Masonic purposes, but also religious and other groups who might wish to use them, with a commercial kitchen and associated banquet and dining room that could be used for special functions and events, for birthday parties and anniversaries for residents of the park, and for other social gatherings. As a meeting place for all users of this building, for blood donor and other clinics, such as the one that Canadian Blood Services will be conducting here in the next several weeks, and for clinics that groups such as the Victorian Order of Nurses or the Canadian Diabetes Association or tax planners could conduct on issues that would be of interest to seniors, not just in this park, but in the community at large. This is why we created space for a library downstairs and for a computer room for seniors and others in this park to use. Why we have set aside space for a games room and an exercise room, which we will equip for the benefit of users of this park, including particularly seniors. It is for that reason, and out of a sense of history, like the history that Mayor Sims touched upon, that we have and will establish our Masonic archives here, and will display Masonic artifacts and paintings for all to see. Wanting to see this place become a focal point of daily activity in this park, we created space for our business manager and administrative offices to relocate here. And desiring this facility, to make this facility a place where all could come, we made it accessible to all mobility challenged persons. For the goal of life is not to stay young forever, but to grow old with grace and dignity and respect. Appreciating the beautiful vistas that the city of Mount Pearl offers, we set this place with a large deck with a panoramic view that overlooks that beautiful city. Indeed, all things in and about this building have meaning and purpose. Unfortunately, however, based upon the expressed interest of Freemasons from around this province, space did not allow us to invite anyone other than those Masons who are here and those who are participating directly in this ceremony to attend here today. To redress this circumstance, however, in the coming weeks, we will be organizing a special event and reception for the residents of the park to coincide with our Summerfest celebrations. We will also be organizing various guided tours of the building when it is fully furnished, and we will continue to work on beautifying the surrounding grounds. Today, with the commissioning and consecration of this Freemasons Hall, that dream that I spoke of, the dream of Freemasons past and present, and of the residents of this park and the community, to have this facility present here, have become a reality. There are a number of people and groups who are to be thanked for this here today. First and foremost are the members of the boards of directors of Masonic Park, past and present, for all their hard work and dedication in bringing this project to fruition. Brothers like Bill Neal and Harold Ryan, and the late Alex Knight, who were instrumental in building and founding this park. Brothers like James Tucker and Gerald Tilley, the former chair and vice chair of Masonic Park, who immediately prior to Scott Bartlett and I taking over this board, set the stage for what was to come. Their seminal work gave us a sound financial base to start the work of the construction of this new facility. But I would be remiss in my remarks if I failed to mention the efforts and dedication during their tenures in office, and since they completed their tenures of office, of former Grand Masters James Tulk and Donald Newell, and former District Grand Master Rex Cotter to this project. Indeed, it was Brother Tulk, I believe, who first determined that this place would be called Freemasons Hall. As well, there were a number of members of the board and its committees who are to be congratulated for the yeoman service that they have rendered to this project. Specifically, brothers Mark G. Bradbury and Mark A. Bradbury for their financial wizardry in bringing this project and its financing responsibly and cost-effectively together. Brother Sheridan Yetman and his fundraising committee for the work that they have done in raising money for this project. Brothers and friends, their work continues. Knowing Brother Yetman as I do, I'm sure he or any member of his fundraising committee will be happy to take your money after this ceremony. Then there are the members of our construction committee. Brothers John Brake, who's not with us here today, Bill Noseworthy, and Gary Follett. They are to be congratulated for the fantastic work that they did in the countless hours that they put into overseeing the construction of this project. So too is Beaton Shepherd, our good friend of Shepherd Case Architects, the architect for this project. Likewise, the members of our transition team, led by Brother Harry Vokey, must be thanked for the work they did in furnishing this facility, and our operations committee under the leadership of Brother Ken Matthews for the seamless work they have done in creating an environment where meetings and events may occur in this facility. Last but not least, there are the members of the Dedication and Consecration Committee, ably led by Brothers Clayton Handrigan and Jim Fitzgerald, who did such a tremendous job in planning, organizing, and putting together today's events. I would like to thank them and others on your behalf, in particular every member of the board, whose names I did not mention here today, but who in their own special way made significant contributions to this project. Before I end, I would be remiss in my duties if I did not single out my vice chair, a former chair of Masonic Park as well, and my alter ego, Brother Scott Bartlett, for all his fabulous work on this project. Scott, you were always there, you were always with us, and I know I and we could not have done this work without you. There's no better friend or more loyal Mason that can be found. Without their help and the support of these individuals and their families, this project could not have taken place. I'd also like to thank our financial supporters and bankers with the Bank of Montreal who assisted us. Specifically, too, I would like to thank our friends with the City of Mount Pearl, in particular the Mayor of the City of Mount Pearl, Randy Sims, and the councilors of the City of Mount Pearl for all their support and regulatory advice in making this project happen. Our good friend, former Mayor, and now MHA for Mount Pearl North, Steve Kent, special thanks are due as well. Likewise, I'd like to say a special word and thanks to the Honorable David Denine for his and government support for this project generally and for Masonic Park in particular. These individuals have always been true friends of this park and this project. Last but not least, I would like to thank you, the Masons of this province, and your spouses and significant others, and all those persons throughout this province who gave so generously to this project, who supported it and who continue to support it. In my estimation, all of you and all of those I have spoken of are men and women of vision and wisdom, dedicated to building something great in this time and space. But there are two people here that I have not yet mentioned today. They are the first among equals when it comes to Freemasonry in this province. Brother Lester Bowring, Right Worshipful District Grand Master of the District Grand Lodge of Newfoundland and Labrador Grand Lodge of Scotland, and Brother Maxwell J. Squires, the Most Worshipful Grand Master of the Grand Lodge of Newfoundland and Labrador, who have put much of themselves into our new home. You know, Randy Sims alluded to it, the Grand Master Mason touched upon it. For years it has been rumored that Masons keep certain things very close to their chest, and so it is today. We have what we trust will be a pleasant surprise for these two distinguished gentlemen. In preparation for that surprise, I would ask those two great Masons to stand in their places right now. Brother Bowring, be seated. Brethren and friends, Brother Bowring and Brother Squires, when the board's dedication and consecration committee was doing its work, they looked for a picture that would grace the cover of today's commemorative brochure, that would best represent the spirit of brotherhood of Freemasonry in this province. We found one, which is one, as you know, of you too. It's on the front cover of the program today. But given the long hours and countless discussions and debates that you participated in, the many speeches and efforts that you made in bringing this project to fruition, we could think of no better picture to represent the unity of the Grand Lodge and District Grand Lodge than a picture of you two. So we took the liberty of having it enlarged, framed, and mounted. Brothers Bowring and Squires, for all of your leadership, dedication, and commitment to this project, we have made a decision that this picture, which Brother Dan Frampton is showing you now and has placed on the pedestal there, and will show to all those assembled here shortly, this picture will be hung in perpetuity in a place of prominence and honor for all to see in the foyer of the entrance of this building. We have also caused a plaque to be prepared, which Brother Frampton has, with an inscription that has been placed upon it, which I would now ask Brother Frampton to read.
Presented to Most Worshipful Brother Maxwell J. Squires, Grand Master of the Grand Lodge, Newfoundland and Labrador, and Brother Lester W. Boring, Right Worshipful District Grand Master, District Grand Lodge of Scotland, in appreciation for your leadership, guidance, and dedication in the development, construction, and completion of the new Freemasons Hall, presented this day, June 7th, 2008, by the Freemasons of Newfoundland and Labrador.
Brothers Squires and Bowring, we also have a smaller frame version of that picture, which the brothers directors of ceremonies, Brother Handrigan and Brother Crocker, will now present to each of you for your personal collections. Brothers and friends, would you again join me in congratulating these two outstanding Masons? Brothers, together we have walked many a mile on this project, attended many a lodge meeting to promote it, saw it through its peaks and valleys, its highs and its lows, and never gave in. We were always together, as we are here this day, and as I trust Masons ever shall be. But let us remember that if we have been able to see farther and accomplish more than others have, it was because we stood on the shoulders of those great Masons and their ladies who came before us. United, we have proven that there is little we cannot do in a host of cooperative ventures, including this one. We have kept faith with the promise of the past and have produced the hope of the future here. We have built this park and all that it stands for, and our new Freemasons Hall, this gem of Freemasonry on this shining hill here in this city, which is appropriately named Mount Pearl. May God bless it and all who enter into it. Thank you, brethren and friends.
Thank you, Brother Jones, for the kind comments and your speech. There is one question that I would like to ask Councillor Potter, and that is, of the 3 brochures that you got the other day, was one of them an application for Freemasonry? Because if I know Carl Keeping, he did put an application in there. Anyway, it is my great pleasure now as the MC to call upon the 3 significant brethren here to bring this ceremony to a conclusion by having their closing remarks. Brother Lester Bowering, the Right Worshipful District Grand Master of the Grand Lodge of Scotland in Newfoundland and Labrador.
It is tall, isn't he? Thanks, Scott. I'd like to welcome the dignitaries, gentlemen, and brethren all. On behalf of the Grand Lodge of Scotland in the province of Newfoundland and Labrador, I would like to extend my heartfelt thanks and congratulations to individuals who contribute to the Freemasons Hall a reality. With the construction and the completion of this facility, Freemasonry has entered into a new era with this region as well as this province. The decision to move out of Masonic Temple on Cathedral Street was the home of Freemasonry for over 110 years, was a difficult one. However, once the decision was made, the goal of the new home was pursued with determination. Freemasonry is a force for the good in the community. The Freemasons Hall and also the Masonic Park Complex are shining examples of volunteerism in our community and what can be achieved when foresight, vision, energy, and will are combined. This project was made possible through the hard work members of the fraternity and many volunteers, the support of thousands of contributors, and the cooperation from municipal, provincial, and federal governments and their agencies. It continues to be a success because of the support of these same individuals and organizations. I wish to extend my thanks on behalf of the District Grand Lodge of the Grand Lodge of Scotland to those I have mentioned, and most of all, I'd like to thank all you for attending the ceremony. Welcome the dignitaries, gentlemen, and brethren all. On behalf of the Grand Lodge of Scotland in the province of Newfoundland and Labrador, I would like to extend my heartfelt thanks and congratulations to individuals who contribute to the Freemasons Hall a reality. With the construction and the completion of this facility, Freemasonry has entered into a new era with this region as well as this province. The decision to move out of Masonic Temple on Cathedral Street was the home of Freemasonry for over 110 years, was a difficult one. However, once the decision was made, the goal of the new home was pursued with determination. Freemasonry is a force for the good in the community. The Freemasons Hall and also the Masonic Park Complex are shining examples of volunteerism in our community and what can be achieved when foresight, vision, energy, and will are combined. This project was made possible through the hard work members of the fraternity and many volunteers, the support of thousands of contributors, and the cooperation from municipal, provincial, and federal governments and their agencies. It continues to be a success because of the support of these same individuals and organizations. I wish to extend my thanks on behalf of the District Grand Lodge of the Grand Lodge of Scotland to those I have mentioned, and most of all, I'd like to thank all you for attending the ceremony today and sharing in our celebration. God bless you all.
Thank you, Brother Bowering. I now call upon Brother Sir Archibald D. Orr Ewing, the Grand Master Mason of the Grand Lodge of Scotland.
Most Worshipful Grand Master, Right Worshipful District Grand Master, distinguished visitors, and Reverend all, it's quite exceptional for me to attend a cornerstone and consecration ceremony for a new building. It doesn't happen all that often. For hundreds of years, Scottish Freemasons officiated at the laying of the foundation stones on not only Masonic buildings, but churches, cathedrals, and public buildings all over the world, from Shanghai to Cape Town, Sydney to Inverness. It was the norm for any important civic structure to request the ceremony be performed by the local Masonic dignitaries. These events in the larger cities would be performed by deputations of hundreds of Masons and attract crowds of spectators, very often numbering thousands. Sadly, foundation and cornerstone laying ceremonies are quite rare these days. We do, however, perform many rededication ceremonies of our lodges, commemorating centenaries, bicentenaries, and even earlier this year, a tercentenary ceremony in Edinburgh, which, although joyous occasions with splendid ceremonials and rituals, they by their very nature tend to be a tribute to past achievements. It's therefore very exciting and most gratifying to be present at today's ceremony, when the focus is looking forward with anticipation to future achievements and triumphs. There are, of course, many people to congratulate for bringing this project to fruition, and I shall not attempt to name them for fear of omitting anyone, and in any case it has already been done. However, I do think that special thanks should be afforded to the leaders of the two constitutions who will be working from this building. Grand Master of the Grand Lodge of Newfoundland and Labrador, Most Worshipful Brother Maxwell J. Squires, and the Right Worshipful District Grand Master of the District Grand Lodge of Newfoundland and Labrador, Brother Lester Bowering. It is their vision and courage in embarking on this project and the magnificent fundraising efforts of so many brethren that have enabled you today to consecrate this wonderful facility. It's not unusual in many countries where there are different Masonic constitutions at work for them to share the same temples and buildings. And I visited many Scottish lodges around the world where the Scottish, the English, the Irish, and the local home constitutions all work from the same Masonic buildings, in almost all cases in perfect harmony. And in this, I believe the key is a mutual respect for each other. Having two or more constitutions working from the same location brings opportunities and challenges. If you're a member of both constitutions, you have the opportunity to learn and put into practice the traditions and rituals of more than one constitution, an opportunity not afforded to many brethren in other countries. The challenge, however, is an intellectual one, and that is not to get these traditions mixed up. Whatever constitution you're representing, it requires a good deal of intellectual discipline to learn and put into practice the different traditions and protocols at the appropriate time. Like any relationship, from time to time, things may not go as smoothly as one would wish, but if any difficulties are considered challenges to be overcome and not barriers to progress, then I'm certain the future will be very bright for all Freemasons in Newfoundland. I cannot finish without congratulating the pipe band who played us in today, an essential accompaniment to any procession. And I was particularly grateful to note that they played the pipe tune, Captain Norman Orr Ewing. This was a pipe tune composed by a very famous pipe major in the Scots Guards, Pipe Major Willie Ross, at the end of the First World War. And it was composed for my grandfather, I rather think he composed tunes for all the officers, but certainly this particular one seems to have survived, and I was delighted to hear it today. Brethren all, you have built a superb facility here, and I again congratulate all who were involved in the planning, execution, and completion of this building, and may it herald an exciting new era for Freemasonry in Newfoundland, and stand as a beacon of light for many future generations of Freemasons.
Thank you, Most Worshipful Grand Master. I now call upon the Most Worshipful Brother Maxwell J. Squires, Grand Master of the Grand Lodge of Newfoundland and Labrador.
Thank you very much, Brother Scott. Most Worshipful Grand Master Mason, Right Worshipful District Grand Master, distinguished guests, invited guests, brethren all. What a day for Freemasonry in this province. It's been a long, tiring road for some of us. I came up through most of the offices in Grand Lodge in the last 8 years, and I worked at this project even back then when we decided that we couldn't afford the old building anymore and we had to sell it. We were taking a big chance, we were taking a big risk. There were people who said we couldn't do it, but I said, along with Lester Boring, that we can do it. We don't have the word can't in our vocabulary at all. And I got to say, brethren, that working with Brother Boring has been extremely joyful, even though we fight with each other. We did everything but curse on each other. But it was for the right reasons. We wanted to get this project done, and it was done by all the Freemasons in this province. Regardless of what color apron you got on, we are Freemasons in this province. I am so proud today to be a Mason. I'm also so proud to be your Grand Master of the Grand Lodge of Newfoundland and Labrador. I've had so many honours bestowed on me this week that I'm going to go around with a swelled head for the next 6 months. As a matter of fact, we were out in Harbour Grace yesterday to a Scottish installation of Lodge Harbour Grace, and I was given the distinct honour of, from the Grand Master Mason of Scotland, Honorary Grand Senior Deacon. And this was totally a surprise to me. And Brother Boring, I'll never forgive you for that. But it was a total surprise, and I was wondering why Lester was calling me every hour in the day and making sure that I was going to get out to Harbour Grace. But I did, and I'm awestruck. And I understand from the Grand Master Mason that this is the only honorary grand rank given outside of, that have been given outside of Scotland, or outside the Grand Lodge of Scotland. And it had to come to me. So, but all the fighting and all the turmoil and everything else that was caused by trying to get this building done, we did it in friendship, and the result was great for Max, a little boy from the sticks, who started out with just about nothing. And I'm so proud today to stand before you, as I said earlier, as your Grand Master. You know, if I started to thank everyone who made this venture possible, it would take me till 5 o'clock this evening, and I'm sure you wouldn't want to sit down and listen to me all this time. But you know, this ceremony today did not just happen. It took a tremendous amount of work. The building, as you can see, is not quite finished. We haven't got all of our furniture in yet. But you know, it took a great deal of work by a lot of people. And we asked very worshipful Brother Jim Fitzgerald, who is our Order of Meritorious Service Award winner last year, I was very proud as Grand Master to give him that award. And I'm not going to single out anybody, but his committee did a tremendous amount of work. Clayton Handrigan working with him from the Scottish side of Freemasonry, and I never heard Very Worshipful Dan Crocker's name mentioned earlier, but I'm going to mention it. Very Worshipful Dan Crocker is my Director of Ceremonies, Grand Director of Ceremonies. Not only that, he's my very, very special friend as well. The only thing I'm going to have to tell him, don't call me every day from now on, because he's on the phone with me every day. If you don't get on the phone, he drops in to make sure that everything is okay and I'm all ready. He brushes my shoulders off and he does it all. Brother Crocker, you're outstanding. Brother Clayton Handrigan, you're a pleasure to work with as well. And Brother Fitzgerald, standing out there by the door, he's a big man. A really big man. Thank you, Jim. And there's one person that I will not forget, and that's Right Worshipful Brother John Brake. He had his vacation scheduled to go to Australia. And it's not cheap going to Australia, so I guess he didn't want to have to refund his money to stay here. But it just turned out that he was away while this consecration ceremony was being done. I got an email from him yesterday, or last night as a matter of fact, wishing me well and congratulating me on being an honorary member of the Grand Lodge of Scotland. But this man did so much for this building, it's incredible. He was there every day, didn't cost us a nickel. He's a retired engineer. He would be here at 7 o'clock in the morning, and he had the construction people just about driven crazy because they weren't working fast enough for him. But I'll tell you, brethren, he is an outstanding Freemason. And I will never forget, as Grand Master, the support that he's given me and he's given to all of us in Freemasonry for the job that he did in managing this project. And I would ask that the District Grand Secretary, would you please write him a letter on my behalf, congratulating him and thanking him for what he's done. Would you do that, please? And the Grand Secretary will do it as well. Brethren, this is a big day. Again, I'm very, very proud. Well, I have to tell you this little story. I got home last night from Harbour Grace, and it was about 10 after 11, and my wife got home about 5 minutes after me. Now, brethren, she wasn't down to George Street. She was out celebrating. She was out celebrating with her. She had a reunion of her nurses, 1968 graduation nurses reunion. And so anyway, we sat down, and I felt like, even though it was after 11 o'clock, I felt like having a drink. Because the pressure was getting great about tomorrow, which is today. And she said, "You've got a wonderful smile on your face. What's making you so happy?" I said, so I told her about the great honor that was bestowed on me by the Grand Master Mason of Scotland. And we both sat down and we cried. Now, Brother Randy Sims, or you're not a brother, you're worshipful Randy Sims, Mayor of Mount Pearl. Everybody knows Randy Sims, by the way, because he got his radio talk show. And I cry a lot, Randy. I don't want you to get on the radio tomorrow and tell all Newfoundland that the Grand Master of the Grand Lodge of Scotland is a big sook and he cries a lot. But I do when I cry about things that's so dear to me, and Freemasonry in this building and all of Freemasonry I'm so proud of. Right Worshipful Brother Lester Baring, you've been an inspiration to all of us, and I thank you for your friendship. And God bless you all for coming today.
Thank you, most worshipful brothers squires. I just wanted to make a couple of comments. Number one, to the comments of the most worshipful Grand Master Mason, if anybody's building a public building and they'd like the Masons, we can work out an arrangement. But I don't think we'll get a turnout like this. And the other one is, I suppose, Councillor Podester was right that when we are together in these sorts of numbers, we do sound pretty good. So I understand that tomorrow evening there is a divine service for First Colony Lodge here in Masonic Park, and I would invite all Freemasons to attend. This concludes the ceremonies and the closing remarks, and we will now proceed to close with the benediction. I now call upon Brother Gerald Taylor, District Grand Lodge Chaplain.
Would you please stand? Glory be to God on high, as it was in the beginning, is now, and ever shall be, world without end. Amen.
We will all now join in the singing of our Masonic Ode, Come Brothers Ere Tonight We Part, followed by the National Anthem. We have one presentation left, and I would ask that everyone be seated. One more. Two more presentations, I'm told. I will now call on Brother Reginald Taylor, who is a resident of Masonic Park and a Mason. He is 102 years old. He has been a Mason, a member of Lodge Tasker, for 80 years. I would now call on Brother Taylor to come forward and cut the ceremonial cake. Brother Taylor is the oldest living Newfoundland Mason that we know of. To think of it, when he was made a Freemason, electricity wasn't readily available in Newfoundland or running water. Oh. Okay, I think you can be seated again. There's one more yet one more presentation. I now call upon Right Worshipful Brother Jeff Tucker of Gander Lodge to come forward.
Thank you, Brother Scott. I just got a couple of things to say, but I first want to thank everybody for organizing this. I bring the regrets of a delegation of brethren from Gander and Airways Lodges who, as we speak, are attending the funeral of a very popular brother, Brian Rayfuse, who many of you know from hockey days, who passed away on Thursday. So myself and Brother Clark and I forget the name. There's three of us here anyway. I'm sorry. Brother Randy Berkshire are here. The reason why I asked for the mic was to make a presentation to our brethren on the East Coast, but I have to mention there's a Gander influence here, not only in Mount Pearl through our mayor, worship, I was going to say brother too, Randy Sims, with Gander roots, and Lewis. Well, I was kind of working around to that. The symbolism you picked up was what I wanted to say here this evening, but Masonry is steeped in symbolism, and one thing you may not realize about Freemasonry is that we've survived and flourished with a requirement that we not solicit membership. So the people who have joined Freemasonry have expressed an interest. So the reason why the application wasn't in Councillor Putterster's package was that he has to request more information, and then, it was there. Well, there you go. Good. You obviously must have asked for it stuck together just by any chance. Anyway, what I wanted to say very briefly. On December 12th, 1985, I apologize for the sunglasses, I have an eye injury. On December 12th, 1985, we experienced the largest aircraft disaster in Canadian history in Gander with the crash of the Arrow air crash. As a result of the efforts of Freemasons throughout Newfoundland and Labrador, a memorial site has been constructed, a beautiful memorial site called the Silent Witness. And just this past year, the involvement of Freemasons throughout the province in constructing this memorial site was acknowledged by means of a plaque. And the plaque was unveiled by Most Worshipful Brother Squires at a communication in Gander, and which, by the way, is the largest lodge in Newfoundland and Labrador, and has, I would argue, the youngest average membership in the province. I had to put that in. I'm considered one of the old fellows there. But this plaque was unveiled last year, and contributions for the plaque came from lodges all over the province, Scottish and Grand Lodge lodges. And so forthcoming was our letter asking to contribute to the cost of the plaque that we ended up with more money than we needed. And of course, we were able to get the plaque by a new mason who happens to make plaques, so the cost was a lot lower. Anyway, a committee of Gander and Airways lodges wanted to return some of the funding by a way of a contribution to Freemasons Hall, to this beautiful facility. So after extensive research, we were surprised at how much, we found that there is a lodge of expatiation number 9290 in Wexford in the United Kingdom. And they have produced something that we identified as being, well, it was missing from Cathedral Street and missing from here, and it's a lodge room clock. So This clock has extensive Masonic symbolism, so much so that there's a scroll that'll be mounted on the wall next to the clock. This arrived in Gander yesterday from England. So on behalf of Worshipful Brother Dennis Noseworthy, the Master of Gander Lodge, and the Master of Airways Lodge, Brother Sir Alistair Powell, and all the brethren really symbolically from throughout the province, because it's not really from us, it's from all of us, back to all of you and all of us again. And it is with great pride that I would like to present this Masonic clock. And I understand from Brother Durf Patton from the Lodge Expatiation that it is to be mounted behind the senior warden's chair. Not so subtle a reminder to the worshipful master that time is of the essence. Anyway, I'd like to take this opportunity to show you the clock, and thank you very much, Brother Scott, for the opportunity.
Brother Tucker, if you would show the clock, that would be very kind of you. A wonderful addition to the new Freemasons Hall. It is now my pleasure to declare that this proceeding has ended. I would like to take one last opportunity, though, to thank the brethren of the organizing committee for allowing me to be the Master of Ceremonies today. I thank you all for coming, and I wish you a good day. Please join us for light refreshments in the banquet room when we are concluded here. I would ask that once this is concluded, that the people in this room pay attention to the ushers, and they will get us out in an orderly fashion, and we'll take 2 or 3 minutes getting out as they are setting up the banquet hall for the refreshments. And I thank you all.
I got here kind of late, so I didn't get a chance to grab it. Do you want to see us eating, or just?
Good for you.